At POSB, we believe in empowering every individual to reach their full potential. From children to youths, informal workers to professionals, startups to large enterprises, and farmers to retirees, POSB has financial solutions for everyone. Welcome to the Business Focus, proudly brought to you by the People's Own Savings Bank, POSB.
Business Focus with Kudzi, Sharara on the Champions League Breakfast.
Good morning and welcome to Business Focus, proudly brought to us by POSB. You already know POSB as your trusted bank with service centers across the nation. But now we have taken things a step further. Say hello to the POSB Virtual Service Center. Think of it as your branch without walls. Available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yes, you heard us right. You can do your banking anytime, anywhere. At home, at work, on the move, even in your pajamas. You can do that. No more rushing through the traffic or standing in queues if you don't have to. The Virtual Service Center gives you added convenience, reduces the hassle, and saves you time. While our physical service centers are still there when you need them. With the POSB Virtual Service Center, you can open a bank account, apply for a loan, check your balance or get a bank statement, register for online banking, receive support for failed transactions, get assistance on MasterCard-related issues, even increase your purchase limit, all done virtually. Ready to experience stress-free banking? Reach us out today using the following platforms. You can WhatsApp POSB on 0732 200 889, 0732 200 889, or better still, drop an email customer support at posb.co.zw. Customer support at posb.co.zw. Toll free 223 from an Econet line, or 08004271 from a Tel 1 line. You can also call on 086 77 000 9200, 086 77 000 9200. Or you can also do Zoom. And of course, follow us on our social media platforms, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn at POSB Zimbabwe. Your banking supercharged. Bank anytime, anywhere, hassle-free. POSB, celebrating 120 years of transforming livelihoods and building unforgettable memories together. Hashtag convenience made simply possible. It is Business Focus right here on Capital. Good morning to you, Kudzi. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Tinashe. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you so much. Let's begin by rewinding to the 22nd of July, 2025, which is yesterday, and look at the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange trading update.
Thank you, Tinashe. So the volatility continues on that similar path that we are now all aware of. We are not sounding like a broken record there, but it is what it is. It continues to trade sideways, with the all-share index gaining a marginal 0.02, whilst the top 10 index lost a marginal 0.22%. So you see there not much happening in terms of price movement. But in terms of activity, there is a lot, because if you look at just the amount of money that is being invested. Yesterday we were talking about very high numbers there. And then when it came to trading yesterday, Delta, about 17.7 million ZiG worth of shares changing hands in Delta. And then in TN, Cybertech Investment Holdings, about 5.1 million ZiG worth of shares changing hands. And then in Econet, about 2.5 million ZiG worth of shares. Then Citco and Tanganda also getting a sizable chunk of close to 1 million ZiG worth of shares changing hands there. In terms of price movements, Ariston was the top riser with the 36.48% gain. So these are some of the crazy gains that you can get on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. There, Ariston, 36.48% gain. And then Hippo Valley coming up with a 15% gain. After that, the rest were rest of the gains in National and Holdings, Citco, Riozim, and other stocks were below 1%. And then on the downside, the biggest loser, but not with a big margin, was Zerechel, down by 3.57%. CBZ easing 2.22%. Masimba Construction losing 1.45%. ZSC Holdings dropping 0.67%, and Wheeldale coming off by 0.25%. So those were your top risers and fallers on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. And then on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, the market was down by a marginal 0.36%. Remember that there's been a really good gains being recorded on the VFX. I think a week or so ago, we're talking about a year-to-date gain of just 3%, but that has since changed. Year-to-date gain is now at 6.2%. So if maybe overall we could say that we have seen a slightly positive direction for both the ZSP and the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. Victoria Falls Stock Exchange improving on its year-to-date gain from around 3% to 6%. And then the ZSP also improving from a negative 11-12% to a negative 8.71%. So there's been some positive direction there. But just getting back to the VFX, there were losses in Zimbabwe by a marginal 0.3%, outweighing gains in African Sun, Insco, and Padenga. And you can see there that the gains were also marginal. And then in terms of turnover, about $68,000 changing hands there, up from $60,000 the previous day. So that's how the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange traded yesterday.
All right, Kudzi, thank you so much. Any corporates that are also making headlines in the world of business?
Yes, indeed. So we today, Tanganda, which is listed on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, released an amended cautionary statement or an amended cautionary announcement. I remember that I think on the 10th of December last year, they had issued a cautionary statement saying that they were going to raise 8 million, and they're going to do that by listing on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, and they were going to list what they were calling Class A ordinary shares. So they were going to remain listed on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, but listing Class A ordinary shares on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. They have since announced that through this amended cautionary announcement that they are no longer going to be listing on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. So they are no longer going to be creating the proposed Class A ordinary shares on the VFX. So they're not doing that. However, they are still going to raise that 8 million through a renounceable rights offer on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. So they are going to raise $8 million on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange through a renounceable rights offer. And a renounceable rights offer is where they are calling on their current shareholders to inject about $8 million into the business. And obviously, there are some shareholders that might not be able to do that. And I'm sure when they finally issue a circular to shareholders, they will be able to tell us who is the underwriter for this particular deal. An underwriter gives that guarantee that if shareholders do not follow their rights, there's someone waiting in the wings to buy those shares, and that will result in the shareholders that can't follow their rights being diluted. So that's the latest development coming from Tanganda, no longer going to the VFX with Class A ordinary shares, but continuing to raise $8 million for recapitalization of the business through a renounceable rights issue. So that's number one. That's Tanganda, and then from Tanganda we go to Dairyboard. Dairyboard also coming up with a trading update for the talking about the first half performance. So this is the performance for the 6 months, first 6 months of the year, where they're telling us that sales volume. This is the quantity or volume of products that they've sold went up by 18%. So that's significant growth, double-digit 18% growth there. And they're telling us that their beverages grew by 28%, and the portfolio of their beverages, including they include Maheu and other products such as Natural Joy and Cascade. And it shows that that segment is really growing a massive 28% growth during the period under review. And then their food also grew by 18%. And they're saying this is a result of strong performance by their yogurt product as well as their tomato sauce product. we will not mention the name, but it's a yogurt as well as a tomato sauce, where they're saying volumes for that grew by 18%. And then when it comes to their liquid milks, that's where there wasn't much growth there, a modest growth of 1%, but however, there was a huge increase in terms of their lacto products, which grew by 23%. Whilst their UHT, these are milks normally used for your tea and your probably your cereals. So that's your UHT, your dairy milk. Those ones are the ones that dragged the volumes for liquid milks, because UHT dropped by 7%, whilst dairy milk dropped by 9% respectively. I'm not sure what's happening there. Maybe it's competition. Why those products are coming off in terms of volumes, or probably it's just the company not producing enough of those products. But we'll find out what could have caused that decline in their other milk products mostly for breakfast. But in terms of lacto, up by a massive 23%, and then. Their exports also accounted for about 8%. So they're exporting, although that contribution dropped from 9% prior year, it's now at 8%. They are actually saying that this is due to prioritization of the domestic market. So they want to feed the domestic market more than the export market. And in terms of volume contribution, so when you look at all their total volumes, 27% of their volumes is on liquid milk, and 64% is on beverages. You can see the impact of my hair there. And then their foods contributing about 9%. So there's been a significant growth in the contribution of the beverages. That's my hair. And interestingly, I saw one of their popular products, which used to be in your 500 ml container, is now in a 1 liter one. So interesting that the product is so popular that they've decided to put it into a 1 liter my hair product. So interesting developments there at Joybot. And in terms of revenue, there was also significant growth in revenue, which increased by 18%, which is really again a very good number there. And they're saying that driven by growth in sales volumes, as we highlighted earlier. And then overall margins, however, remained under pressure due to high cost of doing business. The profit before tax margins marginally improved to 3%. So imagine doing all that work and your PBT is only 3%. So you can make millions and millions, but you're only getting 3% as profit before tax. So, and they're blaming the high cost of doing business. I know some of the high cost comes from the price that they pay for their milk from the farmers is also very high. At some point, they have to buy water for the production of their products. Again, putting up costs. So yeah, that's the challenge with Zimbabwean business, the high cost of doing business. But how we are aware, government is doing something about that. We've been promised by the Minister of Finance that I'm sure now 6 months is almost due to expiry. Maybe they're waiting for the mid-term budget presentation to announce some of the measures that they've taken in terms of making sure that they reduce the fees, various fees that are paid by businesses just to do business. I think the other day we were talking about, was it 36 licenses that are needed by some of these producers in Zimbabwe. So yeah, so that's basically the report also coming up in the news.
Okay, Kudzi.
And lastly, maybe, go ahead.
Okay, no, you can. Let's go for the last one because our time is running out quickly.
Oh, time moves fast. Yeah. And I'm still thinking that I have to
maybe, just a quick one, Kudzi, because there's a question that's bedding up on WhatsApp with some from Muzina Mshonga. We're saying that please confirm if the VAT developed is true. I'm told VAT registered organizations are no longer allowed to claim all their VAT back, but only a small fraction by Zimra. Just briefly, we've got under 30 minutes to go.
Yeah, I don't have information pertaining to that, but I know the Zimura guys, they are always linked to Business Focus, so maybe tomorrow they can give us a response.
All right, I'd say 30 minutes. It's under 30 seconds. Thank you so much, Kudzi. Have yourself a great day on Business Focus, brought to us by POSB.
Thank you, Tinashe.
At POSB, we are committed to providing the support for everyone to thrive and succeed. Today's Business Focus was proudly brought to you by POSB, celebrating 120 years of transforming livelihoods and building unforgettable memories together. #Convenience made simply possible.